And now I'd like to introduce Dennis Brennan, returning to the show. Welcome, Dennis.
Hi guys, how are you today? Um,
Good. How are you doing?
oh, good. Been busy around here, so um, we can get right to it.
Yep.
Um, you may remember the layout that I did 4 weeks ago. We did a little thing, and that was Tom French. And what was featured was the industrial side of the layout. So let's go to the first slide.
Yeah, Phil's got that. Or
At any rate, while that's happening, I'll just babble on here. Um, um, what
I
what
can
the
call him.
second part is about is the left lobe of his layout. Um, here we go. All right, so let's go to the first image, please. Okay, this is the layout, and you'll remember the right lobe there where it says Wolf Valley Lines. That's what we did the last time. Very industrial. And now we moved over to the left side. And as you can see, that's a lot greener. And we'll see the rest of it. Next slide. All right. So what I actually did here is I did not create those mountains. I did not create the backdrop. That was already there. Um, I added a little more color to the mountains because I thought they were a little bit um, well, they were a little bit too light. Um, and I wanted to add a little more color, but we compromised because after all, that's what Tom really likes, and so that's what we did. Um, Nothing wrong with it, just different preferences. So what I did here is you can see all of there was no scenery, really, not much scenery at all around this whole um, bridge. And the bridge he had done was custom made for this entire scene. Um, and so I did all the scenicking around it. Next slide. All right, so here is a little bit to the right of what you saw. Again, I wanted to lead the viewer into the layout. So you notice we have a street that starts at the edge of the layout, crosses the railroad tracks. Now on the left of that street, it goes into well, there's a little motel to the very right across the tracks. It's one of those little Woodland and Scenics deals with about four little buildings, like just a tiny, tiny place. And then under the bridge, we go into a farm scene. Next slide. Okay, now you can see how this road now leads into and under the bridge, and you'll see a truck back there. That's part of the farm scene. And the right is that little motel, and there's like three other or four other buildings there. Um, all right, next slide. This is the farm scene. Now, Tom, what he does is he's really good at the hardscape. That's what he calls it. And I'm good at the landscape. Now, the hardscape in Tom's world, Tom is a builder, and he loves to place. He really gets off on placing his structures into according to the lay of the land. And he always likes to have different levels for his structures. And so he placed all of these buildings that was already here when I already there when I started working on it, but it it didn't have quite the pizzazz and the panache that Tom wanted. Um, Tom's only been doing it for 5 years, and he did a good job for what he did. But in his head, he was seeing the kind of stuff that I'm doing, and that's it's just it's It's just I've been doing this for a long time. Um, and so it's a lot easier for me to visualize things and to put them together. So we took all the buildings off, completely redid the whole scene from all the ground and all the trees and all that, and the whole pasture. Next slide. All right, here's the overview. Tom's house is up on a little bit of a hill, and then you go down into the pasture. And again, um, fortunately for me, Tom had done this stuff on like a half-inch uh, pink foam, and he didn't put it down permanently. He just worked on the pieces off the layout and then set them in place. So it was a lot easier for me to work on them because we just took them out, stripped them, and then redid them. So I redid everything that you see in there. Um, uh, the little cabin on the left and the trees and um, all of the pasture. The fence was there, but we reestablished it. We took it all down and then started all over basically. And the little stream he had in place, he had woodland scenics water effects, but they got really dull. Um, One of those woodland scenic products. I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but it was very dull. It couldn't be cleaned. And so I went over it with a gloss acrylic that painters, um, artists use. Um, and that really pumped it up. And then the white there was mixed a little bit of color in with it, like around the rocks and things. And then there's also a little pond in the pasture where the cows are, and that was done the same way. Next slide. Okay, now here is the city, his little city. It's supposed to represent small town America. Um, Tom grew up around Kansas City. Um, and all of these buildings are woodland scenics. Um, he had Originally he had less buildings there. We added several more, and he had one long block. Um, but I separated once we added buildings. I put a little separation in there, which is I believe this is the corner building, and there's a little street that goes in here and it dead ends at the track level. Now, the thing about the city, everything was on the same track level. I raised it up. Um, I wanted to raise it a little bit higher so it really looked like the trains were going through a deep cut. Um, but we settled on this. Tom didn't want to go for the extra height. Um, so we went with, I think this is like an inch and a half. And that also gave me a reason to ramp up to it from the farm scene. This is to the right as you're walking through the layout. That's to the right of that farm scene. Um, Next slide. See, now you can see the farm scene. There's the little motel back there. Um, this is to the right of that road that crossed the tracks. And you can see I've ramped it up to join the main road. So these buildings here, again, Woodland Scenics pre-made buildings were added and landscaped in. We made the road just a little bit darker than I had it originally. Um, but the city part, that road was even darker still because Tom wanted it to look um, more kept up. Next slide. Okay, now this is um, at the back of his layout in the corner, there's a sweeping corner here. He coved it, and there wasn't really anything in there. Um, and it just really didn't. It needed something. So Tom had some leftover castings from his mountain, and I took them and I used them to make a little like a ridge here. And then I made a little bit of a forest. Um, and uh, the key about doing a forest scene is to have a variety of trees and different vegetation. That really works well. And and if you get some of these JTT scenery products, they make these smaller trees. They make these things right here, the dead trees, and they make all these little tiny trees as well as full-size trees. But the little tiny stuff really adds a lot to it because that's what usually you'll find on the edge of a forest, and they call it forest edge or something similar to that. Next slide. Okay, here's another little scene. This is on the other side of the layout, which is just beyond where the industrial area was that I did. This is where the layout curves around and goes towards the back wall. And I used, in this case, this is tree bark. I collected some tree bark and I just incorporated it into the scenery. And the scenery that I use here this is some of the JTT stuff here, all these little bushes and things. But all this other stuff here, um, what I've been doing lately is I rip up um, scenic material like lichen. I tear it up into little tiny bits, as small as I can, and then I add some woodland scenics weeds in different colors, and I also add some various some ground cover like dark pieces of earth, uh, natural earth to it. Um, and just make a mixture, and it goes a long way, and you can see how cool that looks. Um, and you don't have to do, a lot of used to do scenery layer by layer, but when you have to do something like this, if you rip it up and put it in one container and mix up a whole bunch of things together and then just start sprinkling it on, it works great. Next slide. Okay, here again is another look. There's the embankment, and then you can see how there's overgrowth coming down and all the overgrowth here. And again, I did the same thing with the scenery, and this really shows off those forest edge kind of trees that help blend everything together. Next slide. Okay, this is going into a corner. You can see there's a cove here. This was already painted on there and whatnot. Again, there wasn't really anything back here. We wasn't sure what to do with it. So I added real rocks. This is there's a siding, a railroad siding not far from me, and there's this embankment, and these rocks are there and they just crumble, and I just pick them up, and I incorporated them with celluclay. I've used celluclay extensively on this layout to build up and blend in the rocks so that it's not just a rock sitting there, but it actually has earth and stuff around it. Again, my scenery. And then I kind of staggered it too, so that it looks like the track is going into a cut, which it is. And then I added this building here. There was nothing here, and then I put the building up on a retaining wall because again, I built this area up between the tracks, so nothing is really flat. Next slide. And that's it. Any questions? I'm glad to answer.
Okay, this is Phil. Before we go any farther, you have to explain, since you don't have a complete picture of it, what is the backdrop on the wall there?
Okay, those are Kansas City landmarks that
Ah,
Tom had an artist come in and paint. This building here is the Livestock Exchange Building in Kansas City, hence, and the livestock corral that was there. And this is a fountain. The Kansas City is filled with fountains, and I'm not sure which specific one this is. And then there's other buildings that they're all landmarks. And that was his. In fact, on the back wall, if we went back to the very first picture, if you can go back to the very first one. Okay, yeah, this one. See that back there? He took up this
ah,
whole area with a custom built Union Station that is really kind of phenomenal. Um, and it pretty much duplicates Kansas City's Union Station. It had to be scaled down a little bit, of course. Um, and that's a landmark. This here is a Kansas City landmark. Um, it's a rider on a horse overlooking the city on a bluff. And then this is a World War One memorial. Um, and so he's incorporated um, those kind of things into his layout uh, backdrop.
cool.
Are you finished with that project, Dennis? I know they're never
Um,
finished, but
well, is it ever finished? I'm still. He has two levels. That's the top level. There is a level underneath, and I took a few shots of that, but I'm not. We can talk about that at some other time. Um, I'm working on that lower level now. Um, that's a tough one because it's too low. Uh,
yeah,
it's you have to kneel down to work on it, and I suggest to anybody who is ever contemplating doing two levels, don't do a level where you have to kneel down to work on it and even see it. I mean, people don't come in and kneel down and look at things like that.
yeah.
So while it may seem like a good idea, don't do it. Uh, Build your layout up higher, if anything else. But that's not fun. And in December, I have to go to Long Island and work on another layout. A gentleman I've worked on his layout before, and he's got the same thing, which I'll be doing once again. Not fun for my old knees, but
Take plenty of photos.
oh, I will. I will. Any other questions?
I think that farm scene was outstanding. That
Oh,
was a nice job.
Well, the one comment we make out on that is that it also shows those woodland scenic buildings with a little weathering, and in a scene they look pretty good.
oh yeah, that's one other thing. Thanks for bringing that up. Um, he had the buildings, as you know, or maybe you don't know, all those buildings have their details um, attached to them. And they attach them to the side walls as well as the front. So you can't put the buildings together unless you remove them. And so he had take basically taken up that same space, um, but had the buildings pretty well spread apart. So my first thing I did is said, let's get rid of these details on the sides of the buildings. Unless you want to have alleys, there's no reason for it. So buildings in a small town like that are usually right next to each other. If anything, they might have a small alley here or there, but so we got rid of them. And I think it looks a lot better that way.
Yeah, those are the old design preservation models that Woodland Scenics picked up.
Yeah.
And those used in combination with the plaster cast deco. Uh, I mean, they're really attractive. Yeah.
Yeah, they would work really well together. And you can see here too, it tried to vary the heights of the buildings, and so that it didn't look all the same as they're all. And Woodland Scenics really actually does a nice job in coloring them. I really didn't do anything to the buildings at all. I did other than remove the details that were totally unnecessary. I also added the sidewalk. It's something that is laser cut that that I have cut for me. And there's two blocks of sidewalk in front of each building. So it's a double sidewalk wide so that the details on the building don't really take up the room. Because there's like little stools and things, benches, and sometimes there's even an outdoor table and chairs. And if you only use one sidewalk um, thickness, it just it doesn't work well. So anyway, and all of
And
the details on the sidewalk, Tom put in the trees. Um, we decided about where the trees and lights should go and how many, but Tom did all that work and he did all of the detailing with the cars and the traffic cops and the people. That's he likes to do that.
all the buildings seem to have interior detail and
Yep.
lighting.
Yeah, and he likes that. He loves to see things lit up. So those buildings are perfect for him. And if they don't light up, he will light them up. And the retaining wall, I made that out of foam core and basswood. The uh, the wall is actually foam core and the cap on it is basswood. And I still need to weather that, but it's all been sprayed with Krylon camo khaki.
And you know, it's important to remember that those buildings are also available. Most of them are all of these probably in HO and N.
Yes.
You know, so it's not just an O thing with the Woodland Scenics. You know, and if you're building a large layout, it's a way to get a lot of acceleration on structures. They're not unique, but they do look fine.
Yeah, oh, yeah, they look great. Now, if you had to make every one of those structures, it would have been taken hours and hours and hours. Um, even though the buildings are not necessarily cheap though. 150, $175, something like that. Um, but actually, it's not a bad deal. I think they might even be more expensive. Some of them might be more expensive, and it's not bad if you really don't want to build anything. And it does give you all the details. So not a bad thing. But if you want your layout not to look like everybody else's,
Yeah,
uh, you
no, they're
should.
attractive buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Well, great presentation, Dennis, and nice work.
Thank you, sir.
Living the dream as a professional model railroader, among other things.
Now I'm having fun. The tricky part is I I have my own modeling sensibilities and I have to temper that with, you know, with people because it's not my layout, right? So um, we I have to temper some of the stuff that I'm doing. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that there are some things that I would do a little bit differently, but hey, everybody has their own taste. Um, but I think I'm real proud of what we've done over there.
Some
So,
really nice scenes in there. And at some point, you're going to have to turn yourself loose with your camera as a professional photographer and really take something, some of those street scenes could use some nice close-ups and some
oh
nice,
yeah.
you could
Yeah.
spend a day with that.
That, oh, absolutely. There's a lot of shots that that I've already I've already got going on in my head, and I'm definitely going to do a professional shoot, um, probably a full day, at
That would
least.
be that would be great, and an explanation of how you set the shots up. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll take some shots of the setups as well, so
Yeah,
you
that
can
would be
see
great.
it.
Well, thank you. I know you've got to pack for a trip tomorrow.
Yep. Well, I'm packed, but I need to. I've been going at it all day. My SUV is filled. Got a photo shoot in St. Louis, so it's a layout, and it should be fun. But I think it's a cross between toy train and high rail. I don't think it hits either one of them, but we'll see. We'll
Well, if
see.
you can share some of those photos, let us know on a presentation
I may not be able to because
for a magazine.
yeah, if it's going to get published, which I think it's going to be published in CTT, um, can't release those photos. They can't be published anywhere else. Um, but if I could take more than one shot of something, and then I
I
could
hear
probably
I hear nothing.
yeah.
I
So
see nothing. Okay. Well,
all right, guys.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate you
Hey,
sponsoring. Dennis, incidentally, sponsors not only the show, but the magazine, the scholarship, and he donates his time to the show. So if we could give him a round of applause,
oh,
we should.
oh, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dennis.
It's a lot of fun. Now I got to go, so I'm going to sign off here.
All right. Thanks, Dennis.
Yep. Bye.